Welcome to the Fierce and Fabulous Duo. I'm Sandra Catena, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Toni. Today, we're interviewing Claire Wayman. Claire was a fashion designer who went on to become a professional dancer in New York City and England. Today, Claire and her husband, Wojtek, own and operate Sunshine Cooperative, the first organic co-op in Sunderland, England. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you.
Let's start by going to your childhood. What was it like growing up in a working-class town in England and then moving at the age of 22 to New York City and obtaining work at one of Manhattan's top fashion houses?
Well, I couldn't wait to leave, was one thing.
Oh,
I'm back
wow.
here. I'm back in my hometown, but growing up, it was quite a depressed area due to the closures of the coal mines and shipbuilding. So we were on a river, so it was huge shipbuilding port. All of those closed, so there was a lot of unemployment and depression. So my whole goal was to leave, basically. And my mom used to say, "You're getting further and further away."
Wow.
Because when I finished, I guess the equivalent of high school, I did what's called a 1-year arts foundation course, which I did in the neighbouring big city, which is Newcastle. And then I went on to do my degree in Kingston upon Thames, which is southwest London. And then from there, I moved to New York when I graduated. So it was a bit of an escape, to be honest. Yeah, it was a goal to move away and explore and discover other places.
And what was it like working in the fashion industry in Manhattan? And you had a very good job. Would you
Gosh,
like to tell us about that?
yeah, it's hard work. It's long hours, hard work. Um, but we were prepped for that when I did my degree. It was a
Mhm.
full on, you know, in college, 9 till 6. It was full on. Um, so yeah, it's quite a interesting industry. Um, Definitely for young people, I would say. I know older people do survive in that, but I didn't survive the industry with 2 children. Uh,
Mm.
it wasn't very, what's the word? I was the first designer in the history of my company to have a child, and then I had
Oh
a second.
gosh. So
So
they
there
were
was no
not child
longer
friendly.
readily available at every hour. So
Yeah,
I became less desirable, shall we say, as an
gosh.
employee.
That's actually illegal. But in the fashion industry, it's well known that this is what happens when you marry and have kids.
Yeah, I mean, not to everyone, but if you've got a supportive family who can take care of your kids. But
Mhm.
both myself and Wojtek were immigrants. So
Oh, sure.
unless we imported our parents, which we did from time to
Huh.
time, um, I was the one that had to pick them up from daycare, and daycare,
Mhm.
doesn't go on and on. I've got to be there by
Mhm.
6, so it kind of reduced my working hours.
Wow.
So I
Claire,
do know people who did have
I'm sorry.
children. I know
Hmm.
people who had children who had families who would did all the family support, and they
Hmm.
managed to maintain their jobs.
And it was really impossible because both you and Wojtek were making a living, and you didn't have that opportunity to say
Yeah,
a nanny or your husband, the both of you had a lot
yeah,
of responsibility raising the family.
yeah, absolutely.
When you were 25, you began belly dancing, and you actually went on to become dance professionally. You taught in both New York at Big Apple Belly Dance
Mhm.
and also in England. Tell me what your experiences were like belly dancing and
Well,
what you liked about it and how it maybe added to your life or gave you a different perspective on your life.
what was interesting, I walked into a shop, I think it was on St. Mark's, and there was a woman. the music they were playing in the shop was the shop assistant's
Hmm.
choice. I don't remember her name, Sandra, but she was one of your students.
Yes.
Come along to a belly dance class.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I jumped at it is because I was at a gym, but I find going to the gym quite boring. I
Hmm.
like to move, I like to sing, so it was really, I was like, oh, yes, I'd love to try that. And then, of course, it was you, Sandra.
Yes.
I had the best belly dance teacher in New York.
Oh.
A brilliant fitness regime. I remember, I think I
Mhm.
was doing about 2 or 3 classes a week at one
Oh
point,
yeah.
and I was in such good shape.
You were
Such
in phenomenal shape. Actually, you came to me in good shape, but man, you were ripped up. You had a six pack and muscles. You were lean. You looked as though you could climb a mountain, cut down the trees, dance while you're up there. You got into extreme physical condition. Fabulous.
Yeah, and I had a great teacher who was passionate,
Thank you.
and
I made strong dancers.
you did, you absolutely did, and it was a really, really firm, good foundation. And what I always remember is the sorry, I lose words in my head. It's my age.
No, it's not. We all do.
Yeah,
You're
no,
way
like you brought in
young.
different
You're my
elements.
dance daughter, Claire.
I am, yes, you're my dance mom.
That's right.
Um, because I remember particularly building up stamina,
Hmm.
and that's what you kind of created with us. Because there was a particular class that was 2 hours long on the Lower East
Yes.
Side,
Hmm.
and it was a
That
brilliant
was my
class.
Broom Street. That was my
Yeah,
advanced professional class. Yeah.
and I remember
Mm.
shimmying for about 20 minutes. I was throwing punches. It felt like 20 minutes anyway, Sandra. I think you brought the fitness element into it as well as the professionalism and actually teaching dance, not just showing up and dancing. You actually taught the rudiments of dance, you
Yeah.
know. So, it was great. I enjoyed it so much. I really, really loved it. And again, I danced and performed with you. And
Yeah.
you did a lot of work to me, though, didn't you?
I did
Um,
well.
you passed on a lot of work, professional work to me.
I did. And everyone loved you. You are a sterling dancer. You are such a devoted student. And you are just one of the most elegant professional dancers out there, period. You're powerful. You're strong. You're just so beautiful. Everyone loved you. You were always a favorite. And you worked really hard. You got in there, you did the work, you got
Mhm.
down on the floor, you did the stretches, the functional training. You are a most powerful dancer because of the work you put into it.
Yeah, well, thanks to you also. But I love dancing in New York, Sandra.
Mm.
I remember I
Yeah.
opened a restaurant in Queens. It was a Lebanese restaurant, and my mum and dad were visiting. My aunt and uncle were visiting,
Oh,
and there were dancers.
yeah.
I'm terrible with names. There was another dancer. You sent both of us though. Um,
Yeah.
and I remember my dad going, "Oh my God, what's happening here?" Because obviously the Arabic man will give you dollars. And I remember them trying
Yes.
to put them in my belt, and I just had to do that. I was like, my dad cannot see that. And then I would kind of finish my set, and my mum was in the corner counting the dollars. Uh,
That's great. Go, Jackie. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I had great experience, and we danced together at Lafayette Grill, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. And you know that the last time we performed together at Lafayette, you were pregnant with
I was.
Roman.
I
You
was.
were like
I think,
two and a
yeah.
half months pregnant.
Yeah. And my husband Wojtek was at the bar
Oh,
like this.
oh, he was so dramatic.
He
He-
was
right after I performed, Wojtek was at the bar and I went out to the bar and he was so dramatic. He was so worried. He's like, how much longer is she going to do this? And he put his head in his hands and he shook his head. And I said, Wojtek, your wife is in very good hands. She's in superb physical condition. This is only going to help her with the birth of the baby. So, and he was so funny.
Yeah, and he always came to see me dance. He did. I think it was just the pregnancy part that worried
Of,
him.
of course. And Tony's going to ask you about the pregnancy part,
Yeah,
being
this is
pregnant.
the perfect transition because we
Yeah.
wanted to go back to your very first pregnancy. So you already mentioned you have two sons. And now they're teenagers, so a while has passed since your first pregnancy. But you trained in dance shortly before giving birth, and that is not so typical. That is just very inspirational for women, I think. So we'd like to learn a little bit about what it was like for you dancing throughout your pregnancy, and also how that training, how the dancing helped you perhaps give birth and in your postpartum healing.
Well, I think it's important to try and stay as fit as possible whilst pregnant. So I
Mhm.
was dancing. I was also doing, I had a trainer. So I was doing not kickboxing, but
Mhm.
I was only boxing as well. I wasn't doing
Mhm.
obviously during pregnancy, I wasn't doing any of the kicking. Um, but I mean, I'm a big pregnant, I use the word heifer. Um, I do turn into a cow, but I put on 40 pounds plus with both pregnancies. Um, but it was always all belly.
Yes.
So, and I think it's good that your, especially your leg muscles, your stomach muscles, everything is kind of strong. I come from a line of women who my mother, my grandmother couldn't give birth naturally. Um, so I was determined I would.
Mhm. And you did?
So I did put the baby out,
Yay.
and he was quite, he was 7'1". It isn't tiny, but it isn't a large baby. Um, and my doctor was like, I don't know. We might have to, She was shaking her head. I was like, oh yes, I am pushing this baby out. Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, so do I know in particular what particularly helped? I think it was just overall fitness, overall good health, and it's difficult to spring back, to get your body back. I don't think you you do get it back fully. Um, but yeah, I've always tended to go back to my size eventually. And I know I couldn't dance as much as I wanted to after I had Roman, although he did come to a couple
Mhm.
of classes.
Yes, he did.
He's still in his pushchair and wasn't running around.
Everyone loved Roman. He was just the most beautiful baby.
No.
And now a beautiful young man, both of your children, gorgeous, my nephews. Mhm.
Yeah, they're very athletic. A pair of
Mhm.
them, very athletic. They're both footballers, but soccer players. They've also played cricket. One still does. So, they're very active, and we've encouraged them to be active. I think being active, dancing in particular it feeds the soul. In a way, going
Mhm.
to the gym doesn't. Going to the gym is quite functional. It's you're setting yourself a task. Whether you want to get stronger, leaner, whatever it is you want. But being a dancer is a whole different ball game. It's about how you feed your soul. It's an art. It's a craft. It's creative. And I hope I've passed something of that onto them too. Um, and yeah, I can tell you after my second pregnancy with Anton was huge. He was 9'6".
Oh boy. I'm
Uh,
sorry.
but yeah. She kept saying you're not pushing hard enough because they expected the
Oh,
second one to slip out, and I was like, really, I am. I am. I'm not
Oh my
wanting to stay
gosh.
in here. There's no way. Um, but yeah, having a toddler, and Roman never walked. He just ran. He ran. So I got fit really in after my second pregnancy, running after Roman.
Right. And Claire,
You
you
know.
you mentioned how dance feeds your soul. So there's a physical benefit, right? You were in shape and I'm sure you had a better outcome and during the pregnancy, during birth and even after in recovery. But I'm wondering, did you notice anything in terms of the mental preparation, the wellness, right? The more the spiritual, the emotional side. I'm wondering if you noticed any benefits from dance there.
I think I've always loved dance, and I think dance, if you do anything that makes you smile, makes you feel happy, makes the world feel like a better place, because the world is rough. Any of that is a positive, is positive for your mental health. And I think, being a parent is tough, and
Mm.
so if you can bring anything into your life that has a positive effect on you, positive effect on your family, um, like such as dance, then yeah, no matter, I'm always dancing around, that's what I did last night before I went to bed.
Mm.
I did some belly rolls and some chest circles,
Oh,
I love
hand
that.
I'm
movement,
so proud.
you know,
So proud of you.
all of that was what I did before I went to bed, Sandra.
I am
And
so proud of you.
I don't know if I can really put my finger on it, to be perfectly honest. But dance is an expression. It's an expression of who I am, you
I
know.
think you described it well. I appreciate you sharing such intimate information with us, but I'm sure it's helpful to others to find that passion, that vocation and fill yourself and be happy. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So let's fast forward 2010. You and your family moved back to England and you founded a co-op in Sunderland where there were previously no organic food stores. That's pretty big. So what was that journey like in founding a brick and mortar store before expanding your business to now selling specialty foods from all around the world there? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
So, when I moved back, I live in the northeast of England. I don't know if you know much about it, but it's the area that struggled in the UK. The north in general, there is a north-south divide. I've just been to the south as well, so you do see it in that it's a lot poorer. People are not everyone, and it's a wonderful place too. So I hope I'm not painting too bad of a picture. It's we don't get all of the resources that the South does. From an industrial standpoint, we were, the industrial North kind of collapsed and left big gaping holes in community and how much people can afford. So there's been quite a legacy after, post-industrial legacy, which is being really quite rough for the area. But people are also very resilient, very friendly. It's a very friendly part of the country. We talk to people, we talk to people in the street. You don't get that in London. So when we moved back, we'd lived in New York for 13 years, and food was so important for me. I'm probably not going to be popular saying that, but at the time, when did I move? 97. The supermarkets were dreadful, absolutely dreadful from my perspective, having grown up in the UK, where food's a little bit cheaper to buy than it is in the States. So I found it expensive and not great. It did improve over time. I'm not going to say it didn't. The quality of food. But I was always looking on the back. I was always looking at the labels. and then particularly when I had my children, what's in this? And there's a lot of genetically modified food in the US.
Oh, yeah.
So I think when at the time when I, and don't quote me on this, but I'm sure when I read there was about 80% GMO in the US compared to 20% in Europe.
Wow.
So I just became a bit of a food analyst, and when I had the kids, Wojtek worked weekends. I was always on my own on a weekend, and there was a market in Inwood which sold all of the fresh fruit and vegetables, bread, honey, and it was amazing, and I loved it. I loved going. There could be horizontal sleet, and I would get the kids ready, and I would get to that market every week.
Mhm.
And when I moved back here, I was like, there's something I was missing that. I was missing that kind of local, you know, whether it's organically farmed or not, food that was locally grown, straight from the fields. And so we decided rather than complain about it, we'd do something about it. And yes, we can order that quality food, but it comes from elsewhere in other parts of the country, from down south. So we decided we find a way of doing it ourselves, and that's how Sunshine Cooperative was born. Yeah, just from that seeing the need and seeing the niche, I guess.
Claire, in autumn, you're opening up a second store. Would you tell us about this store, how it's different from the first?
Yeah. So what we sell right now is primarily locally sourced. It may be organic, fair trade. It's ethically sourced. It's also it's providing a sustainable way of shopping, so people can come with a container. They can buy dried fruit, nuts, pasta. They can buy um, liquid cleaning, beauty products. So we want to take that to an area that is kind of it needs regenerating. So the area we're going to doesn't have, it's of lower demographic. So we have to look at pricing. So it's a different price level. And it's working with people who maybe are struggling more. So we're not looking at organic. We're looking at just getting healthy food to people and trying to get them to cook. Because there's a couple of generations really that live on microwave meals. So it's trying to kind of bring back a healthy lifestyle and a sustainable way of shopping to a different demographic.
That's so noble, Claire. I don't know of any initiatives around where Sandra and I are around New York City or Long Island where people are doing that for maybe a lower socioeconomic status. It's all the organic,
Mhm.
it's buying, your cow in the Hamptons and they slaughter it for
Mhm.
you. And I don't know how much these people even pay for it. But I don't know of any initiatives like that. So that's just so beautiful. I just want to congratulate you on that. And that's not that's one of your later careers. You've had several careers throughout your life. You've created opportunities for yourself. So what did it take to go from fashion designer to owner of two cooperatives? Can you tell us a little bit about how you were able to transition and go from one career to the next?
I still find my job quite creative. I look at what we do as kind of like a design process, and I'm very involved in the graphics and creating all of the any artwork we need for social media, what have you. So I do see it. I'm still using the creative process. Um, One teenager's just arrived. Shh, I'm online, darling. Um, So I guess when I moved back, because the children were still very young and I wanted to be with them. So when they're at school, I found kind of volunteering opportunities. So it was the kind of looking at how you can help improve people's lives. And I wanted that to be part of my job. So in the UK, we call organizations such as mine social enterprises. So yes, you are making a profit, but all of that profit goes back into the business and to helping
Yeah.
people. And we work with some young people who have barriers to employment, which may be they may be autistic or they might have other learning needs. And we use the shop and everything we do as a way to help train people and give people a chance to feel useful. We have a lot of older retired volunteers too. So I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yes, and I'm just wondering if there are any challenges you experienced along the way. I mean, it could not have been easy, first of all, moving to New York and then moving back to England and starting your own business. That's difficult. I don't want to minimize that. So I'm just wondering, were there any challenges that we could learn from, for those who maybe are thinking of starting their own business or anything you would share?
Ask for help, get business advice, get any advice you can get and any help you can get. Don't try and do it alone. It can be a very lonely thing. Obviously, Wojtek helps, and we do have other staff now. But initially, it was all me, and I did
Wow.
become quite a little bit depressed, to be perfectly honest, because I was used to
Mm.
being around people. So part of what drove me was I wanted a community. I didn't want to go to
Mm.
work on my own. Because initially we set it up as a box, fruit and veg box delivery service. And then the initial shop came later, a couple of years later. And I was just desperate to be around people. So delivery days were my favorite days because then I got to see people. So definitely look for help. Don't try and do things on your own. Find a community of like-minded people that you can talk to, that you can bounce ideas off, especially if you're doing something on your own. What else?
Well, that's just wonderful advice, Claire. I'm wondering where you are. Are there any organizations for women business owners, like where you can connect, support each other? Do you have those sort of
Yeah,
opportunities?
there's quite a few actually.
Mm,
And I've surrounded myself with a few other businesses who are all female led.
mm.
Um, but there are quite a lot of other women's groups. I just can't always get to them. They don't fit with, my schedule. But I would say there are plenty. And I think there is support out there. Just go find it.
Well, that's great advice. Thank you, Claire. And so, how can people find your store? Where are you located? Do you have an email address or a website that you can share with us?
Yeah, so our website is www.sunshinecooperative.co.uk. We are UK only and we deliver locally. We do ship certain items to other part of the UK, but unfortunately it's not international. But ask Wojtek, he might. I might give him a push. Yeah, that's his job. Mm.
Claire, you must be commended for the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears you have put into your business. And I remember when you told me, I want to start a co op in Sunderland, they have no such thing. And here your business grew, you're employing so many people from different who are the autistic, the different, you're giving elder people the opportunity to be a part of your community by doing volunteer work. I know you're loving that because I'm now 67 and we need people, we need each other. So what you have done, what you and your husband have done really is wonderful. You are a boon to the community. Can people from all over the world buy some of your products because you have wonderful specialty products, stuff that, is not an organic eggplant or an organic piece of spinach? Where can they contact you?
If you go to my website, which I mentioned, there is a contact us page on there. Or if you want to email us, it's info@sunshinecooperative.co.uk. and there is no dash when you type in cooperative either. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Well, everyone, get on that website, get on Claire's website and order food. She has spectacular foods from all over the world. So you are terrific. Thank you for being part of our podcast today. And I can't wait to see you and my boys and your mom and dad and Wojtek. And until we see each other, until we talk next, all the best to you, my dear.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Claire. Bye-bye.